multiple game captures, bro. It should be only one game capture. Remove the Mario and everything else. Leave only
Okay.
what the fuck are we playing.
Okay.
And when we change game, just change the source of the game capture, bro.
Okay, okay, okay.
But remove it from every scene.
Alright. Give me a second here.
That's the error from the walks.
I think there is nothing on the other. Yeah, it's only on the main screen, it's fine. Hi, Regis. Hello. Alright, if it crashes one more time, I am done. Hello. You know that's cheating because you can redeem this once a day. And now that it crashed multiple times, you guys are cheating. Just invite me, I'm ready. But should I make something in my loadouts? I don't know. Did you do anything? Did you favorite any weapon?
I joined your party. Start.
But tell me.
Something on walkthrough, we're first level.
I saw today in a video that you can replace your main gun. You can... Oh, we don't have them unlocked as well. The secondary guns. Lobby. Start.
Wait, let me restart.
Okay.
Bro, today is cursed. Everything is crashing.
Yeah, everything is cursed. My games were cursed. I couldn't fucking play today. It's shit fest.
It's fine. We stream again tomorrow, yeah?
Yeah. You don't have to do anything, to be honest. You don't have to end stream just because I'm not song requesting music. I'm gonna end myself if it crashes one more time. Ayo, Hypno, what's up? What's up? Are you in game, Cheesy? I invited you.
Wait, Hypno is wanna play with Nasi?
Okay. But we have to keep it in English.
Yeah, I taught him.
Okay.
He said okay.
Okay.
Okay. Are they going in our Discord?
Okay. Yo.
Wait. Are we in the same lobby?
Yeah, you're in my lobby.
Invite Nasi.
I don't have him. I'm gonna give you... How do I give you fucking party leader? Party management, wait.
Oh, I invited him.
Okay. Zikeo also wants to join us. Do we... Okay. Let's go, let's go. It's the squad from yesterday. Let's fucking go. You and me on the tank, Zikeo. You and me watching their back while they pew pew people, you know? You know? We're just supporting them. Negatively. Yo, yo.
Invite.
I'm coming.
English bay. Hey.
I know it's sleep. I'm sorry. Chill.
Hello, guys. It's Sior from Cutie Snack Technical
Sior.
Department, and today we're gonna play some Battlefield 6. You know?
This is gonna end so bad. Oh my.
Yes. Prepare to clip every single second of the game.
Mare, shut up now, man.
Как? Why?
Bobby.
Hmm?
Give me a
Yes.
bit.
Hey, yo, Madlo, what's up?
I'm,
What's
I'm
up?
inviting
What's
you, man.
good?
I'm loading.
No, you send me friend request, bro.
Locked and loaded and freaking goated. Damn
Ah,
right.
appearing,
Damn right. Invite Regis. Bro, does
Oh.
Regis even play this game? Fucking W Strig Madlo, let's
I
go.
am online.
Aha.
My fucking goat.
Joining.
Yeah, I joined as well. Hello, motherfucker.
Bobby, we're ready.
Regis is a FPS goat. I'm accepting any tips though. I'm accepting tips though. I am starting. How do I give party leader to someone else? Huh?
You're the leader.
Hypnotica. Sure. He's leader now.
Wild.
Whoa. Okay, listen, guys. Why are we only 3 guys?
Cheesy left the party.
Bro, cheesy.
Bro, we were in the wrong lobby.
What do
Go
you
into
mean?
the battle royale thingy.
It's Battle Royale quads, bro.
No, it wasn't.
It
Okay,
is.
wait, okay. Haydi, start.
Okay, the plan is finding a tank. Number one
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
Need to throw some spring
And
rolls
this
in the oven.
time,
Be right back.
don't
Take
blow
your
it up.
time. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you.
I don't
This
know
time
how they
get some
blew
kills,
the
I don't
tank.
know.
I don't know how they blew it so fast though. You literally took like what 3 shots and you died.
Yes.
So how do I play this game?
Left click, right click, and keyboard.
I don't even know what I'm picking up from the floor, bro.
Okay.
Hopefully weapons.
Money.
Yes. You need money and weapons.
I haven't used a grenade once. How do you use
Okay.
grenades? What is
I
the
will
button?
explain this game. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Bro, you didn't explain shit to me yesterday.
Because I didn't know. I watched videos today.
Bro is...
Oh.
No, you were
Man is
locked in, you were
prepared.
locked in.
Don't worry. We need to find helicopter.
What do you mean?
Helicopter, helicopter. I'm gonna be assaulted.
I have an idea.
Thank you,
Yes.
Cheesy. Should I mute when I'm talking to chat because this shit is annoying?
Yes,
No,
be,
the-
как ты скажешь, however you want.
Okay.
I'm from technical department. Questions to me.
Okay.
Shut to
Yes,
him.
sir.
Yes, just don't read the chat.
What do you mean?
The chat in game.
Oh.
Yes, just hide it now, because
Yeah.
I'm prepared.
Hide it behind your camera.
Expect heavy resistance. I'll update you on the ground if info comes in. Good hunting.
Wait.
Up. Everybody follow me.
No.
Go
No,
for
not this guy.
deployment. Give him hell.
Bro, did you
Wait.
drop?
No one's dropping.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to pass the leader to you. Come on, Mr. Jump Leader. It's
We're
you.
going to the treatment. You all need treatment.
Yes,
Thank you.
take us to the hospital to subscribe. Why are you giggling?
This bro is literally taking us for treatment.
There you go. Somebody has to do it.
Yo.
Real. Kill it.
Bro.
Where the fuck did I drop, man?
What the fuck is this? Intel case.
Major score.
What is
Yeah,
a...
this is giving you XP on the right. There's like passives. Do you see like 4 boxes?
No.
It's like abilities from your channel. On the right, above your weapon.
I saw. And what is this?
It's like passives, like abilities, no?
I need an AMG.
LMG.
Hey,
Yeah.
bullets.
Okay, so
Mission updates just came
we
in.
need assault rifle kits and
Move to that location.
yes, this is it. We need to upgrade our weapons so we can be pew pew pew.
Ooh,
Very
pew,
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 pew.
pew. There is a wire
Here's
going
a rifle
upwards,
if you
by the
need
way.
one.
Bro, what the fuck
There
is
is
this?
LMG here.
Find an MG if you need one.
I don't know how do you how to upgrade it. Let's see what kits do I have. Shotgun kit. I don't need this shit.
Do we know what this is that I'm holding? It's on my 4 button. Look.
Smokes. Probably.
Oh,
Let me
okay.
see. Smokes.
Okay.
Ooh. There is a gun as well.
Bro, how do I go there?
We need loot.
Below.
Ah,
New mission available.
Where are we looting?
So
Oh my god, I upgraded.
How the
there
fuck?
is
Guys, do you have
SMG
a SMG kit? Anyone?
no.
how do I see?
On top, on top.
There's a gun kit for you.
I don't think.
I'm taking this.
I've got one assault rifle kit. Do you guys need assault rifle?
Yes.
Yeah, here, come.
LMG.
Come back.
Oh. Where is AMG?
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
tap and space above your weapon to
bet.
upgrade it. Space, but space on the weapon.
Oh.
But I know, but
Bobby, do you need it?
I have AMG and something, I don't know. Where do I
Yeah,
see?
press tab. Do you need? Do you have kit for
I
it?
have sword.
I need sniper.
Look above your weapons. There's like 5 slots where your kit goes.
Bro, I don't know.
And put on armor, be. Here, I'll drop you one armor.
How do you put the kit?
I broke my legs.
Got it.
You
Space
press
on your
tab,
weapon.
Details on your map.
Tap and space on your
tab
weapon.
and space. There is.
Anyone need a rifle?
Okay, I'm dropping P90 here.
Bro, I keep pressing 3 because that's what you press on Apex to go on knife.
Yeah,
No,
you
F.
can,
Hold F.
bind it. Grenade inception.
What is this? Vehicle
Can
supply.
somebody open this? No? What is this? Vehicle supply set. Oh. What is this doing? What is this? Oh, lamp.
What the fuck is this
Not
shit?
lampe, bro. It's for grenades. Look now. Look. Okay, it's not-
Oh, it's a
Very
Watson
good.
note. It's a Watson note.
Wi-Fi router.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm from technical department. Let me fix your router. Do not redeem it. Do not redeem it.
And what does my X do?
But try it, I don't know.
I
But
don't know
I
yet.
drop some back and you guys take from it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll drop in the back.
Wait,
Put the
there you
price
go.
in the back and drop.
There you go.
It's health, probably.
It's giving.
giving
nothing
cunt.
vibes.
Helicopter, guys, helicopter.
Helicopter,
don't worry.
helicopter.
Yeah.
I'm with the pilot. Pilot.
In front of us, there is
In
a
front of
dog.
us. Where?
Yes,
Where?
yes, yes.
No, no, we don't need
that,
it.
that direction, that direction.
Oh shit.
There's cases here.
There is a sniper.
Oh my god, I don't know what to take, guys.
Are who is flying?
Let's go. I'm flying. But,
Details in
I don't trust anybody else there.
I don't wanna be on the gun.
I am on the gun.
Are
No.
they shooting
Shooting
us?
me, be.
Who's shooting? Where?
I'm repairing.
GG.
Oh, missile.
Oh wow.
I couldn't see from where they're shooting, guys.
I also.
Okay, so
Like, come on, Mr. Pilot, give us some.
now we are blaming
Info.
We're blaming it on the gunners.
I see, I
Yes.
see.
I'm not being on the gun ever
People
again.
here, people here.
Where are we dropping? On the left, go on the left.
Where am I?
Bobby, not on the enemy.
I saw a ping there and I went there. If I die, it's on you guys. It's not my fault.
It's good for a first game. We did a lot.
Yeah. A lot.
of loot.
I
lot of
didn't even
looting.
loot.
You guys had loot?
No.
Look, guys, when you see trucks like this, we can open them like this. Huh?
I need a
I'm in the
gun.
border with Serbia.
Details on your map.
Big brain.
Toxic blaze inbound. Watch your route.
What's up, Madlo? How you doing? What's up?
Bro, these people took everything from the
Bro,
chest.
stop stealing my loot.
Shizu, do you have a weapon?
Yes.
Oh, you have
2
a-
In front of
weapons?
me.
Take it, take it.
Thank you.
Wait, go on, let's go.
On me.
I smoke you.
Let's go help him, bro.
We helped.
Oh. Waiting for the spring rolls. Nice. Glad to hear that you're doing good.
Push them, push them, push them. Shoot me!
Where?
No ammo. Bro,
Oh.
I died from Garfield 707.
Here comes that weapons drop.
Maybe we need better plan.
Bro, I
Ama
killed
къде
him.
езики, бе, ей?
Deploy is good.
On the, one is on the street.
On the street.
What the fuck?
Here. One more here.
I don't know how to play this game.
No.
I think revive. No?
I'm getting
Oh, they're
bombed.
blowing them up.
A timer on the screen. I don't see a timer for the giveaway. Oh, it's over. That's why I had to take it off.
No, you fucking
We
shooting me,
already
bro,
gifted the
man.
Marvel skin. Yeah.
Oh, I see you now. Bro, are you for real? You're gonna let your buddy kill me. Oh, yeah.
Maybe I go next.
Next game? Or what?
Yes.
Your side's been wiped out. You'll get it next time.
18th place.
With vehicle one.
How do you play this game?
Bro, you need to shoot the enemy when you see him.
I don't see them.
Yeah, I mean...
This
try
is
to with open eyes, I don't know.
The question is not for technical department, I'm not answering.
How is that possible?
So 18 place is good. From 18 teams.
I miss Apex.
Ah, we
Wait,
are
are we
Apex
really only-
predators.
Bro, it's not 18 teams.
He's lying.
It's 20.
Okay, he made it a little better.
Aye.
Guys, we need in-game leader, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
I vote for Cute Stack.
No.
Yes. I agree.
Don't.
Let's vote in the chat as well.
No.
I think we should all go after her and let her lead us.
Bro, I don't
to
know what
victory.
I'm doing. I don't even see the enemy.
It's fine, this
You're
way
gonna
the
be the
enemy
Apex leader.
won't understand anything. They will be more confused, you know?
Yes.
Exactly. Be like a general. You go left, you go up, you go down.
Shut up.
No.
Are малко фокус seriously, а?
Are
Okay.
Те се
Yeah.
смесват с мапа, брат. Не виждам.
they are mixing up with the
Сливат
map,
се.
guys. I can't see.
Just stop
Exactly.
translating.
Exactly.
What eggs?
Fried.
Fried eggs.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, what?
Ubi Yago, escape options, graphics,
He's tricking you. He's tricking you. don't do it.
advanced,
Where is it?
Oh,
Uh-huh.
GG.
Yes.
Oh, not this one. Go back and go in graphics quality settings.
You've got
You know what I
unknown shooters inbound, so
Yes.
Now go below, go down, go down.
updates.
Hurry, I'm the
Nah,
jump.
he's the jumper leader.
Okay.
jump
Nice.
wherever you want.
Switch it.
Not.
Okay,
Bro,
jump,
don't
jump.
switch it, just jump.
I am the
No,
jumper.
not this guy, he's gonna lead us back
What
to...
do you mean not this guy? It's not
Okay,
me.
after the game, cheesy.
You are greenlit to jump. Time to get dirty.
Okay guys, so the plan is to go, get some kills, like 1, 2, max, at max. And we're gonna call it a day.
I'm just
Yeah?
running after you
There
guys.
is a team below us. On the right.
Okay, there's 25 teams.
I said there is one team
Eight.
below us.
Going solo!
Where is mute button?
No,
Ah, ouais?
Not here.
Container spotted!
I'm hot. Why is the zone here, bro?
I am gonna get burned soon.
Oh, okay, then we're not going here.
Bro. How do you climb this shit?
You see, nobody's expecting us to drop here next to the zone.
Yeah.
I think it's a good plan.
Yeah, because it's Cutie Snacks plan.
No?
Yeah.
No.
Heads up. Mission updates just came in.
Okay, we're doing
How
this.
do how do I use this?
There is UAV here, guys.
Find out where it's coming from and see if it is intel we can use.
Guys, come here. We need to do the missions.
I don't know what I'm doing, guys.
Oh my god, I'm burning, but guys.
Yes, don't stay in the zone, blue bro.
Oh,
Do not redeem it. Why did you redeem it?
Alright, shut up.
Where is Hypno?
Looting?
Forward.
Oh.
We are running towards the team, by the way.
Oh. I'm not going first. I don't see.
Guys, we need to do the aligning the thingy.
Can the
Why do
enemy
I have
see
to align
the
it?
missions?
You need to align it. Just yes.
Yes, but where is the fucking thingy that I have to align?
Just move it left and right, and you can see the bar
Move it,
go
move
up
it.
and down.
Anyone want some water?
It should be in the middle of them both.
Oops.
You see it?
What? I don't see it. Where is it? Is it on top?
No, no.
I don't see it. You need to go do the other
There
one.
is a weapon here.
Bro, go do the other one. Don't wood.
What do you mean? Which one?
Who is the engineer? Come open this.
I am. Where?
Here. Look.
In here, yes. That one.
I'm thinking some sniper. I don't know.
Oh.
Where am I aligning this?
In your case.
Get over to that waypoint!
Where am I aligning this? What the fuck?
Bro.
I don't know
I'm
what
taking
doing
the
with this
sniper
antenna.
here. I am leaving a assault rifle.
Does anyone need it?
Take it.
Align the
Need bullets
thingy.
for it?
We need the mission. 25
Ah.
I don't know where
seconds.
to align it.
Little bullets. I don't know.
20 seconds.
What are we aligning?
I don't know.
Some
How do we
fake
go up?
antenna. There are cables.
Oh my god, bro.
Drop the
Ah.
ball on this one. Now shake it off and get back in.
We're failures.
Nah, see, no comment.
Just go after Nasco, bro.
Bro, we need. I don't have a weapon, bro. New missions.
There's,
Okay, what are we
guns
doing?
here.
Extraction, weapon cache. Let's go extraction. Okay, let's not
Alright.
fail this one.
You got a mill-grade laptop in your area. Find it and download
Okay, I go
it
right,
if you
someone
can.
go left.
Once complete,
I don't know.
extract the drive.
I'm going with Nasi.
Out during the process, so stay alert.
Is
We have
this
to go
the
left
thing? No,
We
that's
need to
not it.
download that data. And we have helicopter here.
Oh
Oh,
shit.
someone
Wait,
shooting us.
I'm gonna die.
Do I need to go to the other extract?
We died. Bro, like, how are they killing us? I don't get it.
With rockets, bro.
I'm gonna die here.
You have to run away.
Come.
Run away, run away.
Info.
I'm running
Ping
to you,
on me, on
bro.
me.
Come to me.
I can't.
I'm
They're
with you,
coming.
Cheesy.
Dead.
Hostile shooter jumping into your area.
Where are they?
On my body one and the
Here.
rest are running towards you.
Strike inbound.
Have smoke.
I don't know where they are. Can we take the...
No.
Can we revive Ziki?
He's got rest. Go back.
Let's go to...
In front of you.
I don't have
Oh my
anything.
god. Here.
I need to
Oh my God.
loot.
We need to run.
I
baby.
died. Oh my goodness! I don't even know from where.
Ziki, come to me. Bro, they're way better.
No,
than us.
don't. You're gonna die. I think from the back I got shot. Oh my god.
I got one.
Done yet.
You're alone.
I got two. One more on me, bro. Why the fuck am I alone, bang?
Because
We
I
died.
dropped here. Yeah, we all died to be honest.
I'm ready to plunk in 20 seconds.
I'm in 8.
Okay, just go to Nazi.
Okay.
It's fine, I got two of them. They
I
got
kinda
three of
like
us,
the
so-
assault rifle that I had, but I don't know what it was.
Buy to jump off. Squad is ready to RV with you.
Can you like come towards me?
Yeah.
I am with Ziki. I don't know where you guys are.
Help's on the way.
Where's the other green
Watch
dot?
their back.
He's slightly forward. Here there
Yeah.
is a helicopter in front of us.
Oh.
Are there people here, guys?
No.
I have no gun.
There's wood. There is boxes here where I am.
There is a helicopter in the
Yeah,
in
someone
the
is
sky.
shooting, bro.
There is a
Right in
skip
front of
here
me.
below you.
Weapon drop
There's
coming
people right in
down.
front of me on my mark.
With it.
He's in here.
Got a new mission
Yeah, I
for
don't
you.
see them.
Details on your map.
I got too scared.
Ah, in front of me. On my mark.
Mm.
I'm going back.
I'm going down for a weapon.
There are weapons here.
Are they pushing us, guys?
No, not yet. But they will if they see us.
But the zone is coming.
Bro.
Very good, very good.
We're in the zone.
Where are the stairs to go down?
I don't know.
Where are you?
I don't know.
They're close. Close. I got one. Next to us.
I don't
Below
have
you.
shoots. I'm gonna die.
Behind, below the stairs. Oh, one here.
There's nothing.
Reloading.
One on me. Yeah, one more alive.
Check your mission.
One is on
Guys,
my
you
body.
can see them on the map.
Got a target
Yeah.
rich environment. Stay alert.
I don't have shoes, guys.
I'm getting UAV. Okay, you will see them on the map.
Oops.
All three of them.
Ah, he's right there.
One is
Where?
running outside on the right.
I'm pushing him. He's alone.
I'm coming with you.
The one is going from your left.
He took the.
I got one.
Nice.
Is the car with? Oh my god.
Where?
They're not the same team, I think.
Yeah, this is another team. I don't have ammo.
Race me.
Wait. They're nading us. I don't have ammo.
Close. The zone is coming. Next to the jeep.
We need to go. We need to
Got
go.
a new mission for you.
Okay.
Map.
Oh shit, I can't aim with this shit.
Did you kill him?
I think yeah, but I have no ammo for rifle.
Take it, take it. Take this gun here. And we need to run.
Alright.
Your location is heating up fast. You won't be safe there for long.
In front of me. Somewhere, I guess. No? Yeah, I see him, I see him.
Wait for us.
I don't.
Correct. He's
I'm
right in front of me.
armoring up.
He's
Are
right
they-
there.
Are they fighting with someone?
On my mark, on my mark.
We need to revive Ziki, bro. Oh, they're right here.
Where?
On the red car.
On the red car.
I don't see
Like
anyone
two
there.
guys.
They're in the road. There is a hole.
Come to revive Ziki, bro. It's
I'm with
faster when you're
Nasi,
more-
I'm with Nasi.
Come here next to me. I'm using it.
Request for support. Stand by.
Okay, I'm
It's slow
coming.
though.
Check,
You
they're
can smoke?
almost close.
This
I don't see
back
anyone.
there.
They're running. I don't see anyone.
Yeah, I see them right there.
Contact enemy infantry engaging!
Okay,
I
I
don't
lost
see
them.
anyone.
Yeah, we're close to the zone. So.
Oh, we have people here. On far. On the right side.
Deployment down
I'm
range.
coming to him.
Eyes alert, weapons
Do we
ready.
go left or right?
Left. We have people on the right.
But look on the map. They're doing the missions in front of us.
What the fuck is happening? Oh, I'm stuck.
Jump here.
Okay.
He's raising. He revived?
Drop him?
No, he revived. I see him right there.
I don't want a sniper.
He jumped.
One on me, one on me.
The fuck is this shit?
He's right there. Two guys.
Get over to that waypoint.
Ziki, jump to us. I can't see you.
Where is people?
Oh, below you.
Enemy contact in my AO.
Oh my god, he's one.
I can't hit him from here.
Right there.
Contact! Enemy infantry!
Bro, we're out in the open.
I'm gonna fuck him up now. Look. Okay, didn't fuck anything up. Ziki, jump to us now.
I'm bombing them.
He's below you. He's below you. They're pushing.
I'm
at
going
me.
toward you.
Yeah. Just jump with parachute.
I don't
ready
see
for the
shit.
I'm ready.
He's here on my ping. On 2.
I don't see shit, bro.
Take this gun. Look.
I saw him. He jumped down in the
Really?
hole from the
Thank
right
you. I
side.
like this one. I like this one. Thank you. I played it last game. And what is the gun that I dropped to you?
Dropping one shoot. It's SMG.
Oh,
Arbor plate spotted.
I'm putting drone. I'll ping where they are.
I think for Ziki.
Get to that target point! Move!
Oh, they're all around my mark.
Use caution! Rally on that location.
All around number 4. Yep.
Enemy contact in my
Take the... Bro. Ziki.
Contact enemy marked on your map.
I don't see.
Are we fighting them or what?
Yep.
They're running from zone, I think.
They're running from the zone, yeah. On the right. All there.
Contact enemy infantry!
Bro, I can't
What?
hit.
Hey, it's South Rifle.
So better not waste my ammo then. Or what?
How
When
much
they're
ammo do
far.
you
Come to me.
I don't know. 31 out of
We need to catch
57.
them there.
have? Out of what?
Out of 57, 31.
Through. Stepping up.
Here, I'll drop you some ammo.
Thank you.
Yep,
whoa,
in front of me.
whoa,
You guys.
whoa, whoa.
I need help.
Thank you, chill.
Yeah, I see them. I'm gonna blow them up. I got one. Reloading.
There's two teams.
Yeah, I see. They're hiding now. Here.
Did he die?
No.
No.
They're still here, bro. Oh, one knocked here. They're gonna revive there. Look at him. Oh, they're getting fucked.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is
on
someone
right,
watching
on right,
behind
on
us?
right.
Where on the right?
Left, sorry.
This is left, man.
I'm trying to ping it.
Are we pushing, Nazi?
No.
I'm with you. Oh my god, I'm gonna die.
Oh, they're lasering on the right now.
Airstrike, go.
Go, run. You can look on the map where the airstrike will hit. Oh my god.
I might die.
Just run.
He's on me. No.
I'm
Go out to
shooting.
the red.
On there. Next to you.
Move there now.
Oh my god, I'm dying.
Two guys.
I died. 2 guys.
Three guys,
Vicky,
actually.
we need to... Okay.
Shit.
Can we rest somewhere? Vicky, come. Now.
Where is that? Come. Where are you?
You guys are gonna get fucked.
Yep.
Bro, this game is terrible.
I hate it.
Yeah. I mean, Delta Force is better than this.
Delta Force is way better.
Yeah. Here, I feel like I'm not hitting shit. The same as
Jump.
it was in like Apex.
Because you're not.
I'm also not. Don't worry.
Come to revive, bro.
Nobody's hitting anything, to be honest.
I think we can't.
Hello.
You're gonna die. You can't stay in it. At all.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting shot as well. What the fuck, man?
How are they hitting every shot with the sniper and I couldn't hit like 20 out of 20?
But, yeah. Ay.
Oh, jeez, you're so dead, bro. They want your ass.
How are they fucking 5 teams? Is that 5 teams or 5 teams?
Hey, but at least we're progressing. We stayed alive.
Above you on the second floor. Literally. On the second
Take-
floor of this house.
Shoot if...
No them. No them.
What the
Very
fuck
nice.
is this, bro?
We're rearranging the house.
Yeah, Cheesy, if we get a new house, you're not
jumped down.
rearranging it, for sure.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything.
Yeah.
He's on the roof, maybe? No?
Look at this trap, man.
Because you are dead, let's discuss
Take a swim.
Liverpool's game tomorrow. Bro, I don't know, Roger. Aston Villa, what is that, bro?
Okay, only 3 alive.
I don't know.
3 teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's not 3 people left.
I said only 3 alive.
Wait, so Roger,
Yeah,
have you
left,
played
left, left.
Battlefield
Above, left.
6
Yes,
and
yes,
do you
yes,
like
yes,
it?
yes.
Because I
You see.
kinda don't fuck with it, to be honest.
There are 2. Oh my
As a Apex player,
One more here.
Apex Legends player, I don't fuck with it.
god. This is scary shit.
Loki wanna try Arc Raiders, but I don't know. Bro, how is Cheesy still alive?
Fuck
What
is
the
this? A
fuck is
backpack
this,
is
bro?
just-
They're dropping
going.
trash on my head now.
How is bro still alive, bro? What the hell? Don't shush at me.
Okay, I'm fucked, bro.
How is Bro's aim still alive after 48 years?
Bro,
Second
from 18 to
place.
second. Next one is first, I promise you guys.
Don't get hung up on it.
I don't wanna.
Yes, you wanna.
No. Wait.
My guys, they're air bombing us and you're pushing them. What the fuck are you doing, man?
I have
We're
one
pushing-
kill. Yeah. Let's go.
That's fine. One
Bro,
more from
'cause
last game.
we're entry fraggers.
Yeah.
We are first entering the lobby. You see, because me and Cute Snack, we have bows.
We know bow.
There you go.
You guys don't. We just pew pew. But what's wrong with? Why were we not following Hypno, guys?
Huh?
Why am I only
He didn't
following?
say he's pushing. He told us run from
I
airstrike.
just run after him, bro. You do the same.
I was running away from the airstrike, bro. Not to
You
the
were running away from me.
From the air. Yes.
I fuck with Witcher 3. I fuck with Red Dead, bro. No, but like, what do you play in your free
Why are we
time?
looking like some wizard teams?
Why not?
Excuse me, $10 for this water. Thank you. Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you.
Did
Sorry,
you,
baby.
did you take this?
Take what?
Nuts,
Yes.
please, nut.
What nuts?
My nuts.
God damn.
No,
Hello,
listen
your
to me.
captain speaking. Now we're gonna drop somewhere where there is no people, so we can actually loot and see the enemy first. Then we can die and go.
Yes, sir.
peacefully
Yes,
in
sir.
The lobby.
Yes, sir.
And after that, we might change the game. I don't know. I have no information from the office.
And
guys, if you
somebody
listen to
says
this guy,
run,
it's
we are
over.
running at the people, yeah?
Yes.
I mean,
Bro,
he's
how are
not
you gonna-
wrong. He just said run, not where to run to. So I can't blame him.
Yes, yes, yes.
I was running away from the bombs. I was just running towards the enemy somehow. By chance. I'm a gambler, so I'm gambling. I just gamble on the wrong side.
You play Witcher 3? No. No, Regis. No. Not yet. Bro, Hypnoziki, have you played Witcher?
Of course.
Get ready.
Oh.
Approaching
No.
the jump window. Locate and eliminate all enemy shooters.
I've
deployed
only
across
installed
the
it.
area.
Start.
Listen to me now. Every time you see something, you middle mouse click to ping, okay?
Oh,
The
that's
thing
the
is,
ping?
when
Okay.
I'm the only
When
one
you-
pinging.
We're good to go.
No, I'm pinging as well. Shut up.
When you ping something,
Look, I can ping. Look, I ping. Cheesy.
When I
Are
ping
they,
what?
That position.
are they jump somewhere?
Where? Okay.
Somewhere.
Move to that location.
We need consistency. We drop to the same place.
Get to that RV point. Move.
I'm leaving.
Where did we
Everyone
drop
share their
off,
food in Discord. Hey, Regis, thank you for being here. Thanks for the support.
We
Appreciate
drop
you.
there.
Take care. Have a good night.
Boji,
Go
Boji,
We failed two
Boji.
quests there.
Banger
There
song.
is one team on
Yeah,
our
I
right.
requested it, by the way, just so.
I like it.
Very good.
Now split, but don't split too much. If you hear something, yell.
Oh my god.
And ping what weapons you find, okay?
No.
Yes.
Why is it empty here?
There's a chest here.
There was a weapon, man.
I took it.
Okay, fuck the weapons. The most important thing is the kits for the weapons.
I have no weapon.
I
Okay,
have assault
first
rifle kit
weapons
for
and
someone.
kits. Bro, what are you? Why are you not playing?
I saw someone next to me.
I'm here. Where?
On the left side, somewhere where you are, on the right, on your right. Yeah, somewhere. Oh, was it you? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
No, but I didn't open this door here.
Maybe it was me.
There is a weapon here.
Oh, I didn't open this door there. Cheesy.
Yeah,
saw
there should be
herself.
someone here, guys.
Well, there's definitely people somewhere
but,
in front
Hey, oh,
of us.
Roger, take care. Thank you. for being here.
careful.
Appreciate
No,
you.
and this thing is open as well on the bridge. There was
So I'm
someone
not
here.
seeing things.
Yeah, I saw someone.
Up, yep, here. He was here. I'm chasing someone.
Oh
I'm
shit,
coming
let's
with
go,
you.
let's go.
Yep, he was definitely here. Just looted.
Yeah.
I have no idea where he went though.
Check your missions.
Maybe bridge or somewhere on the left.
Maybe.
Oh, there's heavy shooting from there.
Do we go?
I have no weapons, so no.
There is a
Okay, let's go
AK here.
Free rifle over here.
I don't even know what weapons I'm picking up. I'm YOLOing that shit.
Use the second one. I think it's
Oh, someone's already shooting me.
yeah, from the other side.
Let's find a weapon for Nasi.
Oh, they
Shit.
fucked my armor up.
Bro, like I cannot find anything up.
There's no weapons. What the fuck?
I think it
Okay.
was looted here.
Okay, I'm finding some.
I'm so lost. There's so many doors.
I
Okay.
need the assault rifle kits, guys.
There is a chest here.
Let's rally on that RV point. Move.
Okay, I see them right there.
Are they pushing us?
Yep,
Oh shit.
Okay.
they're on the bridge. On the bridge now. At least two guys.
I don't see them. I broke my legs.
They were at the end of the bridge.
Bro, stop trying to open the door.
He's stepping here, man.
Me, I'm with you. Who is shooting somewhere? Bro, sound is so weird.
Yeah, that sounds are fuck right.
They should be on the bridge somewhere. Oh, on the right, on the right.
Contact in my AO.
Three guys.
Oh my goodness.
Got a new mission ready.
Oh yeah, shit.
I can't shoot them, I don't see them.
Bro, what the?
Can you revive him?
Stay with
Yeah.
me.
Yes. Okay, I guess they're insane.
Can we ping them? I don't see them. They're shooting
Yeah,
at
they're
me.
on the bridge here.
Do you have shields?
Supplies located.
No. I think we should go back and get shields and things. Can you drop them? No, no.
They're in the boat, inside the boat, and one is on the bridge.
In the what?
I hit 14 on one. Oh my god.
On the car.
I'm gonna airstrike them now.
You got it. Strike inbound.
Nice here.
I'm airstriking. Did they jump off?
I don't know.
Yeah, they're jumping off.
One is on the ambulance.
Here, 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 here. They got weapon. Wait, they got weapon.
One is on the crate. on the
I'm shooting them.
crate.
Oh my goodness.
They're in front. On
I'm
the,
gonna die.
on the roof.
One on me. One on me.
I'm so dead here.
No shields.
Yeah, no shields. No nothing. Jesus, stop fighting.
One is on my. Two on my body.
Oh my god, I'm so dead.
Going to Nasi because I'm gonna die.
They're
I'm coming to you
here.
guys. On the roof? He
Which
jumped
roof?
down.
Which
Below.
room?
There are two people below you.
In front of me.
Below, on my ping.
I died. He's one though.
Mission's going to be over.
Where?
Here on. I don't know.
Come.
I am.
I'm covering for you guys.
On the way. Stand by.
Thank
Okay,
you.
rest.
Yeah, one on the roof.
Hostile machine gun inside.
You guys see him. Knocked on the roof.
What the fuck is happening? In front of me! Oh my god!
One is two guys.
I got one.
I need rest.
Yes, I also.
2 guys were knocked. Of course.
17 bullets, bro.
He's right here. On the left.
I killed him, but
Wait,
Run,
wait,
run, run,
grenade.
oh my god,
One more.
there's 2 more, bro.
Oh my god, I'm in the zone.
Run from the zone.
I
Oh,
can't.
I'm so dead.
Bro.
I am.
The guy was seeing the fucking zone.
Bro, you're saying there's 2 more and you're raising.
No, I saw only one. I don't know why I said 2.
I'm coming in 20 seconds.
I'm dying, bro.
Just run.
I
You're
can't
fine.
run. I'm getting
fine.
stuck on the map, bro.
Just run, bro.
Help's on
I'm
the
stuck
way.
still, bro, on the map, bro.
Kick it up a notch. You've got a lot of targets out there.
Oh my god, we're so bad.
Yes, we are.
There is so much like flying debris.
Yeah.
I also
there's
think-
people on me, bro.
I also
Yeah.
think it's people.
Yeah.
I think
Wait,
we're
was
too
that the
old.
deployment? Wait, kid,
Oh my god, next to us. I'm dead.
Bro,
I'm dead.
oh my
Run,
goodness!
run.
I can't run, bro.
Just run. Go.
Ow!
On the.
Oh my goodness, I'm so done, bro. I'm
Next
so
to you,
done.
In front of me.
He's glitching.
Can you die?
One more. Two more. In the building. Inside the building. Finish him.
Don't die.
Oh shit.
I am dead.
I am done. I don't like this game.
Nobody likes.
Okay, I'm muting and I'm gonna end stream.
We'll get in that
No, we're playing Marvels. Let's go.
Marvel?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Fizzy?
No, fuck this. No.
Bro,
What?
end the stream then.
Oh
We're
my
arguing
goodness.
off stream.
Fuck, bro.
Fizzy, why not?
Bro, this game is so fucking awful. I'm deleting the game.
I also.
Fuck you guys.
Fuck you too.
It's insane how
So are we
bad-
playing right Marvel or not?
No,
No?
it doesn't. No.
Cheesy, why not?
Okay, bad if you want that.
From what account though?
It's tired.
Well, from the outs.
Yeah, but what rank?
I don't remember. I think we were gold or something. Fuck.
Mm.
Ay.
Cheesy, you want some zombie candy?
Yeah,
They're actually disgusting.
thank you. My
You
favorite.
ate the good ones and you didn't even leave one for me. How could you? They're weird texture.
It's like a brain.
What do you mean?
Why does it say peelable? What do you
I
buy?
don't know. Yeah, I also was really confused when I saw that.
What
I
badge?
took Kremvirsh.
Kremvirsh?
Oh, with nutrients or what?
Yes. With mayo.
Oh, nice.
Did you change category, please?
I
Bro, how
changed
do I
it,
say Kremvirsh on English?
Mm.
Eh,
bad meat.
Okay, guys, I'm taking some bad meat.
What the fuck?
If you don't finish with in the ass, it's fine.
Yes. What?
Yeah? Who, me? Now, I'm goat 1 in this account.
I'm also.
Perfect. You deserve gold one.
Oh yeah, come. Zik is goat 3, Nasi is silver 2, so we're kind of fucked.
That's my smurf.
On which account? What are we playing?
On Zmeja.
Yeah, so the other accounts are lower than that then.
Then go in the lower, I don't know. Because I think when we rank up to quad, we won't be able to play with Hypno. I'm not sure.
My main is top 500
Yeah, in PUBG.
in my house.
In my house.
No. In PUBG, I'm 78.
In my house.
67.
Let's
Okay.
stop with the animal sound. This is not the zoologicheska.
Oh my god.
Bleh.
Guys, look, Steam is telling me to play Ark Riders, man.
Booby, did you remove the Marvel from OBS?
Yes.
I added it again.
But click on split audio, like properties, then audio, then make it only to go on the second channel.
Wait, I'm confused. Can you
Too
say
much
it again?
Really
information.
friendly is that stream.
Right click.
I go on game.
properties.
Wait, advanced audio properties, right?
No, on the Marvel thingy.
On game capture.
Yes, right click, capture audio beta.
Do you guys remember how we were playing this game once? And we were all
It's-
friends.
it's
And some
ticked, it's
random
on.
fat guy wanted to join.
Okay, then go into sound settings, advanced, and make it to go only on track 2.
Wait, game only on track 2 without track 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
Bro, I
did you
need-
ask?
200 points for a skin.
Do we remember what?
Do you remember once we were playing like some friends, you know? 5, 6 guys.
Yeah, no.
And suddenly a fat guy appeared and he wanted to join our
Yeah.
game. And then we said no. And then he said something else. And then it was drama. Huh?
Oh, my homies hate
Fuck are
drama.
you on about?
Who was the fat guy? Was it
Well, I
me?
cannot say it on stream, but
Oh, is he black?
no, he was fat and different. You know, different by any chance what different means?
Yeah.
Yes. Like ZKO, but worse. Like, I
Wow.
don't
Wow.
You guys take your words back.
know. Ziki, I'm taking my words back and I'm saying it's worse than you.
What the fuck?
I believe you sometimes.
You're my best.
Sometimes. Who
Best,
said that, man?
Who said that, be? Who say?
Who said?
Who say Kapka
To
Kumar?
see that I'm the most serious guy in the lobby.
You're not Hussein.
Yes, I think we should fire everyone else
You're
from
Hector.
the team.
Exactly.
Who is Hector?
Who's Hector?
Do you know how you're calling a Mexican guy when he loses his car?
No.
Carlos.
No.
Vale. Guys, we need music.
Poji, Senta,
Yes. Wait. Къде е тази песен? Как се казва?
Vidrado, something. Vidrado. Like Vidra, but Vidrado. You know?
Абе,
With dog.
вида ли Радо, братле? Това е.
You know what when the Vidra says when he sees Rado?
Meh.
Bro.
Vidrado.
Why are we in queue so long? I know I'm good,
Ah.
but
I think we subscribed to the wrong hospital.
yes. Oh damn, they have Lila Lozano.
Oh my god, this is last 6-6 we lost.
Bro. Why am I the only fucking bros in the lobby?
Because you're shit.
Thank you.
Because you're a smurf.
Top-notch team to win this one.
There we go. Somebody knows.
Exactly.
Look at Nasco, Mr. Kitty Cat. Man,
I'm Luna's
he's gonna
realm.
jump on their
Like the
faces
moon,
and scratch them.
I shine in darkness.
But Kitty.
I'm gonna scratch their backs.
Ricky, do you need a raccoon?
I don't know. If you feel like.
I'm putting my snowflake on Hypno with one. Type
Or
with
wait,
one.
maybe, do you wanna play raccoon?
What? No, I'm putting snowflakes.
Бро, тя ще си пусне снежинката на мен.
That sounds so wrong. No.
My cookie is burning.
Oh my
No.
god, clip that guys. Chat.
Как си играше тази игра? How do we play the game?
Chat is dead. Roger and Regis left and it's dead. Fucking Red Sec killed my chat.
No, they're just enjoying the cinema.
Red Sec is a... We have to find better battle royale, bro. Red Sec is...
Apex Legends.
Yes.
I'm down actually for some Apex.
Lies.
Not gonna lie.
You
No,
you-
I'm actually...
I
yeah,
don't
I'm down.
believe.
I have the game.
Okay, now what?
Bro, I'm
You
lagging.
see the bombs? Maybe stop Battlefield.
No, my shaders are still loading. Bro.
Oh. We should have
I
waited.
have 3 FPS.
Why are we playing 3 tanks and Hypno? Playing.
Bro,
Because,
wait, I'm
Hypno is the
lagging.
goat.
It's fine, it's fine.
I'm
don't-
lagging.
It's okay, don't worry.
Someone behind.
Just stay in
5
spawn.
FPS, bro.
Stay in spawn until you load.
Bro, this is insane.
Choose you heal Hypno if
Can't
he's
kill
out.
anyone.
Wait. I think I'm ready. Okay, I'm gonna smash them now. Yes, I'm done.
Just grab the penny guy.
Yes, of course.
I'm giving you the flake.
Cap behind.
No, I'm not ready, bro. Fucking hell. I'm definitely lagging.
Bucky one.
Oh, I hate how trash this game is. Swear to God. Easy.
Easy.
Bro, 50 FPS, bro. 5.
Cap behind.
Root is gonna die.
I can't kill. I was dying. I got race if he dies.
No, it's okay.
Where is Penny?
Penny.
She ulted only for me. Imagine.
Outing. Oh.
Ah, I'm gonna rest. Penny behind though.
Shades of Sting.
I died.
Careful with this. I'm dead.
Fighters get the job done. It's fighter time!
Still got songs to sing.
Penny dead.
Today.
I got ult now.
Okay.
Nancy, are you ready? Jump on them and ult them.
Where are you?
I'm dying. I died. Erase me. Cap is behind.
Cap behind.
I'm healing one. I'm reloading. Nice.
Nice. Push. I'm all alone.
You know, solo.
Don't have to be center stage.
No race for 15 seconds.
Luna one. Oh my god.
Bro, Groot is
What are
blocking
these
with-
walls?
Yeah,
What the
he's
fuck?
kinda branded.
Oh my god.
Luna frozen.
Again.
Clapping.
took the kill fast. Executed. Up behind.
Freezing. Don't.
No, that's dead. Careful.
No.
Don't have Q there.
Be playing shuffleboard
I got cap.
I'm killing us.
Clock is
Q, Q.
low.
Oh my
Oh,
god, I'm
fuck.
dead.
Outing. In my out.
I am ready to put on a show.
It's Jobar.
A nice deep
Bro, how?
Nice.
Good ult. Nice. Tell me when you're ulting.
Oh fuck.
I ulted already.
One race now. Need to use it.
I can't.
Did
Don't have rest. Q.
Nice.
Nice.
Bro, he's goated at Wolverine.
Why did you specify?
Need to hide. Okay, stay in. I don't
No, no, don't. I don't see.
No.
thanks so much.
Use it.
Healing.
Zeki, they're pushing us. We can't.
We're fucked.
I'm ulting. Stay.
Fucking wow.
Dead, fuck. Go back. Nasi, before you ult, you need to get your rage to
This one?
100%. Oh my god, you can see that?
He's not dying. Outing.
Go with Uno ult. Careful, same Uno ult.
It's over.
They're fucking me behind. Choke behind. We need to touch 10 seconds.
And getting bug.
I'm healing
Oh,
there.
I'm frozen.
We need to touch.
I couldn't.
I can't also.
Nice, man. They won't push that
Score
one.
is 1, 2, 0. Time to switch things up, including which
Fucking hell.
side you're on.
Why is Jeff going Jeff and not DPS?
I shine in darkness. The right heroes
The
could make
fuck?
all
What the
difference.
fuck? What should I go? DPS. Oh, we have a second.
Yes.
I'm not the type who fades quietly into the background. We are cloak and dagger. We are hope and fear.
Bro, I'm gonna go check.
Jeff.
My name is Ed.
My name Jeff.
Why are we 4 healers now? I'm going
Oopsie.
DPS. No, you go
Do I have-
DPS. You're better
Go
DPS.
DPS. Nasi, either a wolf again or Bucky to grab them into penny bombs.
You guys are the coolest.
Okay, I'm over in.
And listen. Come here and take this,
Pretty cool yourself. Being able to understand
take the
animals.
boot thing
I
here.
wish I could do that. Now all you have to do is listen. They really hate Doom.
Does anybody like Doom? Such an easy
Wait,
All good.
wait.
4, 3,
Wait.
2.
I'm debuffing them right now.
Take it, behind it.
Oh, not
behind.
didn't debuff anything.
This
Oh,
thing.
the blue one.
Yeah, when you grab him with shift, just press space and you're gonna go in the air.
Dead.
I don't see you.
I'm dead again. Why are we all so far
Try
away?
to grab shift and space.
Oh yeah. What is it?
We have rest, no?
Only for behind someone. Good. But everyone else died. Hope he's dying too. Oh, they got someone flying. Couple
Yeah.
of kills behind.
Am I dying?
Nasi, I can't see him.
I think we need a
Couple
second
of
tank.
kills again behind. This
Bro,
walk is
somebody
so
shoot
clear.
this idiot.
I want to shoot him.
No, I'm not playing this shit, man.
Can't go out even.
Touch.
I want to touch.
Ay, 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 ay,
Yeah, it's
ay,
only
ay,
penny, we don't have one
ay.
Nope. I'm going to destroy them now.
What is Loki doing? The fuck? No. The fuck? Getting staggered. Debuffed.
Need to push and touch. I'm ulting.
Outing also. Pain my out.
Go in front, going out.
I'm fucking off.
I am dead.
Oh,
It's over. Oh fuck.
very good, so no. Nice ult.
Need to touch though.
No.
Final score.
Unlucky.
Yeah.
Man.
Нет, indeed. I'm speaking in chat. Hello? What?
I was lagging for half of the game.
It's
We're
okay.
fine, huh? We're going more or what?
I don't know.
Yes. Now I'm not lagging.
Until
Next
win.
game, different game.
Until win.
Okay.
We are
until
winning. Q. Next game we are playing on these douchebags.
No, next game is different.
Wait, I
You're
avoid.
lucky I was like,
I'm avoiding. Who played Groot?
me.
No.
Pa, pa, pa. Boom, boom, boom. Ay.
Boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room.
A potato flew around my room before you came.
What the hell?
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know.
Huh?
What the hell?
What the hell?
What the hell? What the hell? What the heliante? What the fuck?
Why are you? What the helling? Not allowed.
Oh shit.
Yes. They
Bro, I'm
were-
playing last one and I'm going for a shower.
Why are you stinky already?
Yes.
Why are you running?
How the hell are you stinky?
I don't know. Too much gaming.
Oh,
A lot of inting.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Inting
Baba Yaga.
makes you sweat.
True. True, Baba Yaga.
Could make all the difference. I'm not the type who fades quietly into the background.
Oh, we are not playing against those losers. That's unfortunate.
We are cloak and dagger. We are
Unfortunate.
hope and fear.
We maybe go DPS or kill.
For me?
No, or tank, yeah.
No.
Why?
I don't wanna. We have a DPS, what do you mean? And we have Voltron. It's not gonna work as second heal.
There's always a spark of light in darkness. They'll be coming in 30 seconds. Stay strong.
You know what to do, spiders.
If my physical form is damaged during battle, please download my data into your armor.
And let you overwrite spiders' programming? Not a
Let's see if they are strong now.
Harm to any artificial life forms.
Maybe not. But when it comes to the starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You need to stop that vehicle in its tracks.
Don't see squirrel girl there.
And a strange, and a Nema. Am I solo tanking again? No.
Yeah.
Track this enemy. Halfway. Stop them.
Nice, Cassie.
Nice.
Izzy. Nice. Good job, bro.
Hold still. I'm trying to help. My time to shine. You stopped them in their tracks.
Hey yo! Bremen, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome in. How you doing? What's up?
Come on, you little fucking bitch.
Tell him. I tried.
I was looking behind.
Fucking Punisher.
Back.
Punisher above.
Oh, a touch of
I'm
healing.
just stalling.
Утро.
I am. I hear a Psylocke. Yep.
I am ready to
Need
put
to
on a
take
show.
one.
I don't have ult.
Yeah, me too.
Bro, I really need help with defending my shit. I don't know.
By the eye of the
Oh, we're so dead. I went out of it.
They hit a checkpoint. Now might be a good time to stop them.
Force dimension.
My time to shine.
And they have DPS ults. Ninja ults.
Ah, my ult.
Killing us.
I ult if it's needed.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
I can't. Ult.
Thank you, of course. The Punisher behind. Dead.
Look at one.
I'm killing us.
Range is one here. Nice.
My time to shine. Get ready. Here come the bad guys. You stopped them in their tracks. Now's a good time to leave. A foam of life.
Bro, we're so focused, no one is talking.
Yeah.
What the fuck,
Careful,
guys? Let's
stranger.
go.
We don't wanna lose.
I am ready to put on a show.
Heal me. Heal me. Heal me. Next to you.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
My time to shine.
One is behind. I don't know. I think so. So.
Yeah. Maybe she has ult. There she is. I died.
No rest, no rest.
What the fuck? I literally cloaked, bro. The fuck?
My time to shine.
They got Jeff.
Oh no.
Woo! You go, girl. You stopped them in their tracks.
souls are trolling me. Then you should have wood.
Yeah.
Punisher is on the left, behind them. Am I dead?
Strange gone out, strange gone out, strange gone out.
Am I out? Outing.
I have wood as well.
Punisher behind. I'm outing, I outed. I am
Okay.
dead. I am only one here. Kill Punisher.
I'm out. Healing.
Nice group.
Nice. Good job.
I spanked them. With roots.
You can combine Ziki and Nasi both woods. and
Yes,
you
yes,
kill them.
yes.
Did they do that now?
Seconds.
I don't know.
Behind
TP.
TP, behind you, behind you.
TP.
He's debuffed. No, he's not.
Get him.
I'm gonna cloak us
Okay,
out.
okay. Just stay next to him. Careful, Hewa, kill Hewa in there.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna raise you behind them, careful.
Hide.
behind
I can't. Low HP. Why did he ult it for me, bro?
Because he likes you. Cap is on point here. Nice.
Nice.
Punisher.
What is this
What
dumbass
the
doing?
fuck?
The fuck? Didn't even see him.
The current score
Good job,
is
guys.
Good job, bear.
2.
Yeah.
Time to switch things up, including which
Smashing
side
them.
you're on.
Smashing them.
We are Cloak and Dagger. We are
I
hope
am
and
Grodda.
fear. You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
You see, this is a smart move. Now they're gonna have flying thing.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not the type who fades. Round 2.
Big brain.
Big brain
Brain
play.
is big.
10 head.
Is there any good Hela skins?
Yes.
Plenty.
30 seconds before you
Plenty.
attack. Get ready.
Yep. There is a lot of Hela skins. There is only one fucking penny skin.
Penis.
Yeah. I want some penny skin. Penny skin.
Yes. Yeah. No.
Ski.
Just like penis skins.
Ski.
Ski skins.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Help get that vehicle to its destination. This is just a normal Tuesday, not bad.
Do the Punisher thingy.
I'm trying.
I am kinda dead. But they're all shooting at me, chasing me.
Clearly, you needed some help.
I'm trying to kill you inside already.
Oh, you're killing me. Yes.
Duh, but shoot them now. I'm making a hole for you.
I can't reach Ziki there at all.
I'm gonna kill Ziki.
Okay,
Don't worry.
okay.
They still don't know, bro. I can't see you, Ziki, now.
Come.
I got race.
Pulling Emma. I don't
can't
see
see
Ziki.
it.
I'm dead. They fucking focus.
Emma
I'm
can
rest.
wreck, yeah?
I'm rest.
Bro, cheesy, don't go so deep.
Nice, let's go.
Pulling Emma. No, I'm not. She's one. Nice.
Punisher can wreck.
Pulling Luna. No, she ran away probably.
Punisher on the right.
went 1v1, bro, and I died. No.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Up, up.
Sorry.
I won't disappear so easily.
They're touching, they're touching, they're touching.
I'm on my way.
I win my way, I win my way.
I win
In
my
the
way.
jungle, the mind. I use
Finish it.
Punisher begins.
Clearly, you needed some help.
Punisher got punished, guys.
Who is singing
Fun.
Lion King? But
Lion King, you want Lion King? Okay. Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful life. Totem. That's it, guys. That's it, bonks.
tell me when you're rooting.
No worries. I've got your back.
Jet behind.
I'm ulting, same ult, same ult.
Oh, hit me, hit me, hit me, hit me. Oh, we're so dead. We're so dead. So dead. Yes.
I'm not.
How did you not die?
This Jeff
Bro,
sucks.
'cause I'm flying, bro.
Bro, what the fuck?
Oh, good Jobans.
GG, guys.
JJ's. What JJ's? Kuna Matata, please no worries.
Oh.
For the rest of your days. Shut the fuck up, Doc. Don't talk to me,
Fucker,
bro.
motherfucker, fucker.
I'm silver one.
Ubi, you
Nice.
ending?
Yeah, I am.
Oh.
I am. Because I wanna take that fucking makeup off. Yeah.
You have makeup?
Yeah.
Not working, bro. Me too.
I am not raiding anyone today, though. Because chat is dead, so. Don't wanna.
Everybody is sleeping.
Yes, yes.
Ziki, let's go for some Igaros in Valorant.
Girls, where?
What the fuck?
We're going to get.
Yo guys, thanks for everyone who came to the stream today. You're the absolute goats. Have a great night. I'll be live tomorrow again. Usual time with rivals again. And yeah. Bye bye. Bye bye. Good night.